are students from UCSB, Environmental Studies, and we are in Oxnard looking at the problems in urban development planning that has left a high school in really close proximity to oil rigs and agriculture.
So on this map you can see in shaded green are the majority Latino areas in the Central Coast. You've got big area in Oxnard here, big area in Santa Maria. You've got pockets of Santa Barbara, pockets of Ventura. Some of these rural kind of agricultural towns like Santa Paula and Fillmore as well. You can also see shaded in yellow are pesticide hotspots. And so these are in the state, some of the worst areas of exposure to pesticides. Here in Ventura County, we're actually #1 in the state for the number of students attending school in the closest proximity to the highest levels of toxic pesticides. Some of the pesticides used here are linked to symptoms such as skin and eye and throat irritation, respiratory problems, a lot of reproductive health problems as well, especially among a lot of farm worker women who work in the fields, often while pregnant, and cause some serious reproductive health issues if you're working around toxic pesticides during pregnancy. Obviously rates of cancer and asthma as well, nausea, vomiting. Oil drilling. Really, this whole region was built around 2 industries. And even Santa Barbara today, you think of Santa Barbara as a tourist town. You don't really see agriculture or oil in Santa Barbara anymore. But you zoom back maybe 50 years ago, tons of oil derricks throughout the whole city. You can obviously still see it off the coast. Obviously we were reminded of it very recently with the oil spill. You can see here where these little oil wells are. They are really concentrated around the low-income communities and communities of color. You may have heard about the crude oil by rail controversy. How many people have heard about that? Crude oil to import crude oil from Canadian tar sands. That's really heavy, really dirty, really polluting oil. And so it's coming down. The plan is to have it come down from Canada and come into the port of LA and go by rail all the way up here to oil refineries in Santa Maria, where it would then be processed. Obviously, oil refineries are one of the biggest polluters there are. And these are already oil refineries, but for them to process tar sands oil is a lot more destructive. Since around 2006, when things began to shift, and it started with a huge historic campaign that you can see kind of depicted on this mural here. LNG, liquefied natural gas. There was a proposal to build an LNG terminal off the coast of Oxnard that would have processed liquefied natural gas to ship to kind of throughout the Pacific Rim. And it was being proposed by BHP Billiton, which is the largest mining company in the world. And they needed something off the coast of Southern California, off the coast of Oxnard. It's a great place to put it. It would have had a pipeline running under this neighborhood in South Oxnard, just a low-income Latino community. It would have gone right by Waimea High School, the school that we used to go to. It would have been the largest source of air pollution in Ventura County, running 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. So
each one of us have done the summer internship, and in that internship, that's where Lucas, other members of CONS, they teach us how to be a grassroots leader. So how to empower people in your community to feel like not only that they have a voice, but that they can make change in their community. So right now we currently have 3 power plants and 1 toxic waste site. Whereas if you go to almost any other city along the coast in California, none equals what we have. And the same company that has those 3 power plants was going to add a 4th one. And the year of my summer internship was the year that they had started that campaign, and that was when we worked to get as many community members as we can to come out to these city council meetings to show our city council members that people in the community did not want a 4th power plant. We went out to so many people, talking to them individually, announcing at our school.
Yeah, we had flyers, so we told the people in our class. We had flyers, we had social media, we told our family members. Basically, we're
door to door.
Yeah, we were canvassing
to oppose it. We had a state lands commission hearing here in Oxnard. Our coalition turned out over 3,000 people, and we were able to defeat the project and defeat the largest mining company in the world. And now we've been fighting around the power plant. So there's a proposal to build another power plant. Two of these, the two biggest, oldest ones on the coast, are being phased out by the year 2020, and so there's a proposal to build another one. And we don't want that racist legacy of pollution from energy generation being concentrated here in Oxnard to continue for another generation. We think enough is enough, and we're moving to clean energy across the state, and we need to do that here and here in Central Coast as well.
Hi, my name is Michelle Sevilla. I'm a junior at UCSB. I'm an environmental studies BA candidate. I'm here in Ormond Beach. We're gonna learn about how the local facilities over here, which are producing a lot of energy for the county here and for other nearby counties, are affecting the wetlands and all of its quality and the degradation of the environment, not only for the animals and the wildlife here, but also for the people and the community that lives around in the surrounding area.
Here we are at the Ormond Beach wetlands. So many of you may know that over 90% of California's wetland habitats are gone. There's a lot of endangered species that live in wetland areas, and so the Ormond Beach wetlands is the largest wetland restoration project in Southern California, and it's a huge. I forget how many Dodger stadiums they say can fit in here, but it stretches from here all the way this way from Wainimi Beach over to the Point Mugu Naval Base, so essentially between these two big naval bases. Behind that, you can see the smokestacks of that power plant. So that's one of the three existing power plants. It's the largest one. It's the Ormond Beach Generating Station. And so that is one of the once-through cooling plants. It's a real old power plant. It's been there for decades. That is the Halico toxic waste site. So that's the EPA Superfund site. It's been capped so that the contamination is not kind of essentially blowing away, having toxic dust blowing away. But underneath that cap is radioactive materials. As I mentioned, it was a metal smelter, so when we throw away our cans in recycling, we imagine that nice magical things happen to them, and boom, we get out nice recycled cans. But the reality is, with a lot of that scrap metal, it's melted down in processes that end up with radioactive byproducts. And what we get here is this company Halico that basically just dumped all that stuff for many, many years, and then declared bankruptcy, leaving its big pile of toxic waste here in Oxnard with no one able to clean it up. And that's kind of the problem with some of this lack of corporate accountability, where you get companies that are able to, their shareholders are able to profit off of their operations for years, decades, but then the actual corporation is able to dissolve. Those shareholders are still around, but they're not on the hook for what's left behind in a community like Oxnard to deal with. But I think we often don't see the huge environmental assets that are often in and adjacent to low-income communities and communities of color that have been neglected for the very same reasons that all of the bad stuff has been here, right? And so we have this huge opportunity with the Ormond Beach wetlands to have, one of the most important environmental restoration projects in all of California be right here along low-income immigrant farm worker community. A lot of jobs, both through the actual restoration project, but also, ecotourism as an alternative to some of the industrial development we have here. So creating economic development that is not actually hurting the community in other ways, right? And that just human beings need a connection to nature, and that that actually benefits people to have that.
David, fellow, and I'm here in Oxnard with my class. Some of the students from my class, Building Sustainable Communities at UC Santa Barbara, are here to really bring to life some of the issues we've been reading about and learning about in the class. And so, power plants, super fun sites, all of the bad stuff that working class communities of color are facing, but also the potential, all the good stuff, the green space, the parks, and of course the power that this community has been able to mobilize and to articulate in terms of bringing forth the voice of the grassroots and making real change. So these folks have accomplished so much, and it's really inspiring to be here and to meet with the folks here today.
Hey, I'm Julie Maldonado. I'm a teacher at UC Santa Barbara in Environmental Studies and Director of Research for the Livelihoods Knowledge Exchange Network. And today I took my class out here to Oxnard for an environmental justice toxic tour, looking at agricultural fields, looking at oil drilling, looking at the same place where you have a Superfund site in long lines with the largest coastal wetland restoration project in Southern California, and seeing kind of the positives and negatives embodied within the same place. And just getting kids, so important to get students out of the classroom, getting into the places that we're talking about. I'm teaching a development, environment, and displacement class right now. We talk a lot about what's happening in other parts of the world, but it's also thinking about what's happening in our own backyards. Coming here is also meaningful for me personally. I grew up about 20 miles south of here, so also kind of seeing, the areas where I grew up and seeing it kind of in that new environmental justice lens. So looking at it kind of professionally from a student perspective, and then also personally, and so really grateful to Cause for just taking the afternoon to spend with us. Thank you.